Alright guys, Leipzig and Manchester City have just played out a 1-1 draw in the Champions League round of 16 first leg. And it was definitely a game of two halves. First half we had all Manchester City domination. Leipzig I don't think had a shot until the very last minute of the half, where Timo Werner had a bit of a tame effort. It was all Manchester City possession, but they weren't actually doing a lot with it. The goal they scored came from a mistake in midfield from Schlager, who played a poor pass to Lima. It was nowhere near him, in truth. And Grealish did really well, actually, to nip it past Lima and play it into Gundogan, who got a bit of luck, really, to play it through to Mahrez. I mean, it was smart, but that's not coming off every time, and it was a brilliant finish from Mahrez. He gives the keeper the eyes, and the ball doesn't actually go that far away from the keeper. It's like probably within reach, but it's the fact that he's hit it with such power. He's fooled the keeper with the eyes. The keeper's put all his weight on his right foot, and it's gone to his left, so he's got absolutely no chance of redistributing himself, sort of. So yeah, it was a brilliant finish from Mahrez, and Leipzig were just poor first half, to be honest. There was a real lack of intensity, and City could just easily pass the ball around them all day. And City set up with this three at the back system, and it was hard to work out what was going on. The first half, it was definitely a three at the back. You had Akanji, Diaz, and Ake. And then Grealish, almost as a wing back who wasn't really a wing back, he was more playing for forward, almost as a midfielder, left midfielder. And Kyle Walker was pushing up really far forward on the right, so like he was almost in like a right wing position for the majority of the first half. But then second half that seemed to change more. Then they went to a four at the back, and this didn't seem to help them at all, because I think the start of the second half, they weren't too bad. It was a bit of a slow start to the second half, but they did allow Leipzig to get into it a bit more. And when Leipzig brought on Christopher Nkunku, who supposedly wasn't fully fit, he came on the pitch and it just seemed to boost all of his teammates and make them feel a lot more confident, or re-energise them anyway. He came on for Forsberg, who is a good player, but he was a bit ineffective this game, to be honest. And City just definitely lost their momentum. In Leipzig, for about 10 minutes before they did get the equaliser, they were creating a lot of chances, and one of the other substitutes, Benjamin Henrichs, who came on at half time for Klosterman, was it half? It might not have been half time, actually. I can't remember. It was either half time or right at the start of the second half. He missed a couple of good chances. First one being a header, which he should have kept on target. Really, it wasn't a bad effort, but it's one of them where if you're gonna try and sort of do what Gerrard see, whenever someone goes for a header like that, I always think of Gerrard at Istanbul. If you're gonna try and like put your neck into it and head it the other side, like almost behind you, you've got to get it perfect, else it'll just go onto the roof of the net, or the keeper has an easy save. So it's always a much better idea to go to sort of the side of the goal where the cross has come from. So he should have done that. And the second one is a golden opportunity. Really good play from Szoboszlai, who I thought had a brilliant game. I've seen him a few times now. In fact, he was brilliant for Hungary in the summer against England. And it was a really good setup for Henrichs, and he's got to get the shot on target there. To put it wide, was absolutely criminal. But the equaliser did come. It came from Josko Gvardiol, one of the most highly rated young centre-backs in the world right now. Definitely impressed during the World Cup for Croatia. And yeah, it was a brilliant header. I mean, he got up really high and just didn't have to get a lot on it. But the jump was the most impressive thing about it, because you see that as he's coming down, now a lot of people were saying, is he fouling Ruben Diaz here? But if there's a difference, if you're putting your hands on someone's shoulders when you're going for a header and you're pushing yourself up off them, that's definitely a foul. Yeah, I think it was something that we saw Peter Crouch do quite a lot when he was in the Premier League. Indeed, he did get caught out for it more often than not. But if you're just putting your hands on their shoulders as you're coming down, there shouldn't really be a problem with that, because there's no way that defender's going to be able to get up and win the header. And that there's also, you know, no like advantage gained from the attacker going for the header. So for me, I don't have a problem with what Gvardiol did. I think it was a brilliant header, and yeah, he has an overall outstanding game. And to be fair, apart from that one like momentary lapse in concentration from Schlager in the first half, I think Leipzig defended brilliantly. That includes pretty much everyone from Holstenberg, Gvardiol, Willy Orban, who, I mean, that story that came out about him a couple of weeks ago was incredible, really. The fact that, you know, he heard that he had a match to a stranger for stem cell, I think it was, and he was willing to give it. Fair play to him. Great human being by the sounds of it. And yeah, they just defended brilliantly. The closest City came to scoring in the second half was Haaland had a chance from a tight angle, and to be fair, Haaland didn't have the most influential game ever. He struggled to get on the ball for, you know, on a lot of occasions. I think they said he only had 7 touches in the entire first half, which he's not a player who does, you know, is constantly involved. He's not like a Darwin Nunez or a Victor Osimhen. He's obviously about getting into good goal scoring positions and finishing off opportunities that he sort of creates for himself in some ways by the runs he makes. And he does rely on his teammates spotting these runs that he makes to, you know, play the ball through, and that doesn't always happen in this Manchester City team. But yeah, that's just how Haaland is, to be honest. And the other good chance they had was well, I say good chance. It was more of a good effort than a good chance. Gundogan had a strike in the second half, but the goalkeeper, I forget his name for Leipzig, made a really good save, because he doesn't just save it, he also pushes it into the perfect position, because if he got a little bit more on it, it goes straight into the path of Haaland, and then it's you know, 2-1 or 2-0. I can't remember if it was before or after the equaliser, but you know, it's a lot more difficult position for Leipzig, and he manages to get just enough on it to push it round the post. So yeah, brilliant save. But yeah, it was a really good performance from Leipzig. I fully expect that Man City will probably win the second leg at home at the Etihad. But you know, it's not impossible for Leipzig. I don't think that they've showed that they have multiple options in the way they can play, because I went into this game before I saw the lineups thinking that I know Nkunku was not fully fit. He's coming back from a knee injury, I think it is. But there were other players who I expected to start, but didn't. I expected Mohamed Simikan to start, because I saw him a couple of times in the group stage and I thought he looked brilliant. And I think I might have saw him on one occasion play for Strasbourg a couple of years ago as well in France. I expected him to start, but he didn't. They went for something else. Marco Rosa clearly had another idea, and it worked in the end. And also I expected Haidara to start in midfield as well. Schlager didn't have the best game ever, but you know, he wasn't horrendous. It was just one moment. That's all it takes sometimes when you come up against a team like Manchester City. But I think another thing you can take into account as well is that I think City were missing De Bruyne. I know Man City are a team who play well as an entire unit almost, but De Bruyne offers something different. He offers that killer pass, which I don't think there is anyone in the Man City team who does it to the level he does. I think De Bruyne is the best in world football at playing, you know, an extraordinary pass. And, well, there's probably 2 or 3 in Europe right now who stand out to me. I know Trent Alexander-Arnold's having a torrid time at the minute defensively, but I think in terms of ability to pick a 40-yard pass out, there's not many better than him either. But, you know, Kevin De Bruyne is one of the best, if not the best, at doing that. So I think that's definitely one thing that Man City missed, and that's the occasional problem that I see with Haaland. I think when he has players like Bernardo Silva and Rodri and Gundogan in behind him, players who are more, I would say, more conservative in possession in terms of they like to keep hold of it rather than you know, make every pass a risky one, or not necessarily a risky one, but one that might not come off. They prefer to wait for the perfect opportunity to come, whereas De Bruyne has a different style of play. So I think maybe City today were lacking a little bit of creativity is one thing I would say about them. I think that was definitely missing from their game a little bit. Especially when you haven't got anyone up front with Haaland, like, you know, Julian Alvarez or Phil Foden, who are maybe a little bit more nimble and able to maybe carry the ball into shooting opportunities, whereas Haaland likes it on a plate to be able to, you know, score. And he is clinical when that does happen, but you know, that's just style he plays. I mean, he's 6'5" and he's lightning fast, and that you know, there's nothing you can really change about that, to be honest. And to be fair, Ederson was forced into a couple of good saves in the second half. It was an even game in the end, to be fair. I don't think Leipzig were as dominant in the second half as City were in the first, but I definitely felt as though Leipzig were the better side in the second half. But if I'm making a prediction for the second leg, I can't see Leipzig winning it, unfortunately. I think City go through to the quarter-final in this one. I think Leipzig probably had to get a win tonight to have a chance of going through. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.